Hello friends, we back for another JoJo, not reaction, but JoJo content, right? So we just finished part 3 for those who don't know, and I made a video about reacting to all the openings of JoJo. That was a lot of fun and we did get a lot of attention there, like compared to our typical episodic uploads. We got a shit ton of views there, and I thought maybe we should do a little more non-reaction content or non-episodic content, and maybe hopefully that will get more eyes on the actual show. So I thought about what I could do, and I thought let's try to do a tier list, right? Because everyone loves tier list. But in this case, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a tier list based on the enemy stand users we encounter. What would have happened in those situations had there not been the plot armor the typical anime characters have, right? What if Jotaro could be killed in the early episodes instead of, we have to make sure this guy survives till the end, right? So that being said, I made the tier list here. We put every antagonist in the F just because, or every protagonist rather, just because it's not applicable, right? You can't really put any of these anywhere else because that's basically the driving force of the show, right? So the way it's gonna be scored more or less is how many kills can the character get, right? If you get no kills, you're at D, 1C, 2B, 3A, and S if you can kill the whole party, right? More or less. So that being the case, because although we have Iggy only had like one fight, right? Or two fights. So for the most of the stand encounters, Iggy wouldn't really be participating because, he kind of participated around the end of the show, right? So first up, we have Anubis, stand user, Karava Serai, and then later Polnareff. Now, stand stats, power B, speed B, range E, durability A. Stand stats kinda matter in this regard because it is a self-improving stand, right? Every time you beat it, it no longer loses to the same trick, right? So the more fights it has, the better it becomes. So in this scenario, it's still gonna be the same scenario. Encounters Polnareff defeats it. They go to the barber shop. They have the battle. Jotaro punches him. They defeat him again, and then Polnareff grabs it. He gets possessed. But in this case, we have dual wielding chariot versus Star Platinum. So, in my opinion, I think the chariot wins that. Chariot Anubis wins that. So we get a kill. We kill Jotaro. We meet up with Joseph and Avdol. You kind of kill Joseph, right? You kill Joseph easily. Avdol is a bit questionable, right? And then if that's the case, Avdol may need to kill Polnareff just to get rid of the blade, right? So at most, or at least, we can give him an A. It could even be an S, but we're not sure how that battle would go with Avdol because he hasn't fought. It's a different style, right? The fire and shit. So we give it an A. Next up, we have Atom, stand user, Darby's younger brother. Stand stats, D in power, C in speed, D in range, B in durability, D in precision, D in growth. So, stand stats doesn't really matter in this battle in particular because unlike the older Darby, who was able to con them into looking like a pedestrian, like not a stand user, and they only found out he was a stand user once he already got the soul of Polnareff. So there's a blackmail element involved there, right? So in this case, they could have just swarmed them, right? This is Dio's mansion, right? Everyone's gonna be an enemy here, right? Especially the butler. He even mentioned he's the butler. So you already know he's in cahoots with the dark side, right? So that being said, they just stomp on Atom, or the younger Darby. It's gonna go in D tier. You're not beating anyone. Next up, we have Bastet, stand user Mariah. Stand stats: E in power, E in speed, B in range, A in durability, E in precision, E in growth. Pretty shitty stand stats, but it doesn't really matter. It's like one of those automatic stands that it's just a matter of time before you get crushed. The interesting part here is the range is a B, which is kinda pretty good, but if you check the episode itself, there were a lot of moments there where Mariah could have gotten killed there. She could have just got burned by, Magician's Red if they were about that life, or even Joseph got hold of her. And if you saw part 2, you know that once you give someone Hammond, you basically control them, right? Caesar did something with a girl where he was able to manipulate her with Hammond. So that's definitely a thing. I can't really give it anything other than B, or D rather. So that's gonna be a D. You're not killing anyone there. It was a lot of plot convenience on her part that she made it look as close as it was. Next up, we have Cream. Cream is gonna be interesting because had this been, there's a ton of speculation here with Cream. Stand user Vanilla Ice. Stand stats: B in power, B in speed, D in range, C in durability, C in precision, D in growth. It would have been so easy had they bought enough time to where it would have been nighttime, right? But it was still a bit, it was still a bit late afternoon when they had the fight. So, he had to be careful not to go outside because, he was gonna die to the sunlight. You fight Chariot, right? And the Fool. Now, there were a lot of plot conveniences for Cream being able to outspeed the Chariot. The Chariot has superior speed, and I'm guessing the B in speed means for the ball form. He should have been getting hit a lot more as he was transitioning to the ball, right? So he should have been getting hit more there. But it doesn't really matter because, he can regenerate. He's a vampire, right? So I think how this would play out is he definitely takes out Iggy and Polnareff. That's definitely clear, right? And it's gonna be interesting how he approaches the 3 remaining Crusaders: Jotaro, Joseph, and Kakyoin. If he's able to do the thing with Avdol where he just blindsides the 3, right? Even just getting 2 out and then you're left with 1. It's gonna be so tough. And just because you were able to kill at least 4, if not 5, right? Like, the win con is so unclear how their win con is gonna be. We have to give Vanilla Ice, Cream, an S tier, right? It is an S tier stand. Next up, we have Dark Blue Moon with the stand user, the Imposter Captain Tenil. So stand stats: C in power, C in speed, C in range, B in durability, C in precision, D in potential. I think when it comes to the stand stats, the growth and the precision are pretty much the most insignificant ones. So we may not mention that moving forward just because, it kind of saves time that way. The captain, or the Dark Blue Moon, was able to take shots from Star Platinum, right? And this is kind of the difficult part of the show because he took an aura barrage, right? And then later on, he gets one shot by the Starfinger, which seems like plot convenience to me, right? It's either one of the two. If it was me, I think you survive the aura barrage because you do have a durability of B, right? So I think you do survive that, and you probably kill you definitely kill Jotaro, right? And they did mention that it's gonna be a matter of time if they can kill the captain as well, or if the captain can kill everyone. He could just sink the ship, and then everyone's in the water with the barnacles draining their energy. This is a bit more speculation, a lot more speculation than the others. So I can give it an A based off the speculation, because it could be an S if we were able to get there, but it's still like 3 stand users, right? So it's a 3-on-1, and you already took damage with a barrage, and let's say Jotaro hit the Starfinger, but it wasn't enough to get the KO, right? So basically you're heavily damaged, right? You're heavily damaged. You can't continue the fight. The 3 survive, right? So, but the fact that, you kind of need to go for it, we'll give it an A. We'll give it an A. Even Kakyoin said that he wasn't kidding when he said that, he could take all of us out, right? So, you're kind of aware that that was a legit possibility, right? Next up, we have Death 13, stand user, the Manish Boy. Power C, speed range, speed C, range E. Interesting, range E. That must be, I don't know, a few meters then? Maybe 2 meters or something. B for durability, D for precision. Yeah, we won't count those. Anyway, Death 13, easily S tier. This is easily S tier. It's even better than Cream. Like, let's be honest. It's even better than Cream. This is the best one we've seen so far, because this has the least amount of speculation. You get to the dream, you die, right? It's just plot convenience that Kakyoin survived as many times as he did, right? Next up, we have Ebony Devil, stand user, Devo the Cursed. Stand stats, D in power, which is hella low. Speed D, range A, that's pretty good. And durability B. The fact that you need to take damage as a stand user for this to even activate, and I don't know if it was a D in power because he wasn't damaged too much. Maybe it becomes a C or an A or a B if you get, like close to dying, right? Something like that. But just because the stats are so low, it kind of gives the idea that that's the potential, right? Not to mention its growth potential is B, so it could power up, right, in the future. But during the encounter, he encounters Polnareff with the chariot. I think the chariot just destroys Ebony Devil. They made it look close, but it wasn't close. It shouldn't have been that close, leading us to put it on the D tier. Next up, we have the Emperor, the Lost Crusader himself, Whole Horse. Stand stats, B in power, B in speed, B in range, C in durability, and then the rest are E. Okay, so Whole Horse should be an S because he could just one-shot everyone. We'll give him an A just because of his lack of confidence. Yeah, he's probably better than Anubis as well, like more consistent, right? Just because you were able to dodge the level 2 chariot slash, right? Even though it's faster than you, that was like an A S tier slash as well. So just because of that, but the limitation of the stand user being, not confident, he has a bad matchup against Avdol, right? Avdol, kinda can get protection there because he could burn the bullet and the bullet may be part of the stand, therefore he takes damage. These are a lot of speculations, but yeah, because of that, we'll put him in A tier. Probably the most consistent A so far. Next up, we have Empress, stand user Nena. Power C, E in speed, A in range, A in durability, which is very interesting. This is very interesting. It's an A in durability, but it got knocked out by one of the, arguably the weakest stand in the world, according to Dio. And of course, I'm talking about Hermit Purple by JJ himself. Joseph is like the guinea pig of the bunch, the weakest fighter, right? So we kinda have to give Nena a D, right? It has to be the D. Although I will say he was closer to killing Joseph, right? Remember, these stand encounters, or the tier list is based on the encounter, right? I think Ebony Devil is better than the Empress, but because he encountered Joseph and not Polnareff, he gets a higher tier because he was more likely to kill Joseph than Polnareff. Something like that. Something we have to consider, right? So next up we have Jeb, stand user Endul. Power C, speed B, range A, durability B. Now this is a very tricky stand. This is a very tricky one to gauge just because of the terrain, and there were a lot of things that could go wrong for the Crusaders, right? Once again, in this stand battle, it's one of the rare stands where the stand fights the entire party. We don't see much of those. We normally see encounters of 1v1, maybe 1v2, but it's kind of rare that we get 1 versus all, right? I'd say we kind of give Jeb an A, right? We kind of give it an A. Is it better than Dark Moon? Probably. Is it better than Anubis? It's so hard because one wrong move in that battle, you get burned by Avdol and you die, right? It's either you're an A or a D, right? Based on what happened there. Because if you don't kill anyone, you're a D. But just because it's more likely that he made the adjustment there, we'll put it in A, right? Essentially, you could make the argument of an S2 if he killed Avdol and then he went for Iggy, right? If he went for Iggy, then it would have been an S. The whole party dies right there, right? That being said, we go to the next one. We have Hanged Man. Okay, so J. Guile, right? The centerfold. So we got Hanged Man, stand user J. Guile, power C, speed A, range A. That's probably the longest range in the series. I don't know, maybe the lovers have a better range than Hanged Man, or they're about the same. And durability B. So it's pretty durable. That was interesting. Even though it kinda just got, I guess it didn't get 1 shot. It got like 2 shot, but you know, it's shots from the chariot, right? It's not really, I think the chariot's like C in power if I'm not mistaken, but yeah. Hanged Man, an easy A. He is an easy, or an easy S, right? Easily kills everyone. You just need to get into the mirror, stick the what do you call this? Stick the dagger in their head and nothing they can do about it. Just easy, right? Of course, he's sticking it in the back because, you know, plot convenience, stuff like that. Next up, we have the High Priestess, stand user Midler. This is one of the rare stand users that we don't even see the actual stand user, right? Although Polnareff hinted that, you know, she lost some teeth there, a reference to the actual battle. So stand stats, C in power, B in speed, A in range, A in durability, and then D for the rest. This is pretty hard to... This is another one that requires a decent amount of speculation, right? Because you did catch the whole party in a very precarious position, being in a submarine, right? You could have destroyed their, the tanks, the oxygen devices that they used to escape. And then, people could have died there, right? Joseph could have died there. Maybe Kakyoin could have died. A lot of things could have went wrong there. And when you got to the mode where she was the giant head, right? The giant head of stone. It was very fortunate that Jotaro was the one under the teeth, right? Had it been anyone else, they would have died as well. A lot of things went wrong for the priestess there and went right for the crusaders there. Though I think Jotaro would have always survived that encounter, I think the rest were pretty doomed to fail. And because of that, we will give the high priestess an A, right? Probably better than Jeb, right? Yeah, probably better than Jeb. Because Anubis kinda has a decent shot of killing everyone, right? Or maybe Anubis is better than Whole Horse, now that I think of it. Because Whole Horse, I don't think Whole Horse gets the job done against Abdul. I just don't think so. Like the way Abdul explains that, even if you threw the lead pipe within like a meter from me, I could burn that to ash before it hit me. These are all claims, by the way. We don't even know if that's true, but you kind of have to go over something. So yeah, maybe Anubis over Emperor. But yeah, next up we have Horus, Pet Shop, the Pet Shop stamp. Stats: B in power, B in speed, D in range, C in durability. Now, this is what I was saying is one of the few stands that gets better because of the stand user. Being an actual bird just gives it so much mobility, wherein other characters they kind of beat certain stands by attacking the stand user, and being a bird just makes it so much harder to get a hit on, right? It's so much harder. And although Iggy did get a hit on it, it was very, very situational, right? They were in a sewer, there wasn't much light, it was from a blind spot, right? It's so hard to get something off like that, right? Iggy was definitely big braining it. Yeah, we definitely think Horus kills Iggy there, right? A lot of things went well for Iggy, and then the Crusaders come in. I think Horus just being able to fly out of range of everyone's attacks. You're eventually gonna kill everyone except Avdol. Surprisingly, Avdol has a pretty good matchup versus everyone. So we're gonna put Pet Shop in A tier. Is it better than the others? Yeah, probably between Jeb. Like Jeb, Priestess, and the other one. Yeah, between Jeb, because I think Priestess guarantees like everyone dies except Jotaro. Horus, everyone potentially dies. Maybe Jotaro can be strong enough to like destroy all the ice, but you can freeze the ground too, right? You can freeze the ground and then freeze the user that way, unless Star Platinum is punching Jotaro at that point just to break the ice. Something like that. Just because the user isn't as mobile, right? Iggy looks good in the fight because it's a dog. He's used to running, right? He runs a lot. So it's kinda easier to attack targets that are not as mobile as the dog. So that being said, we need to check out our next stand here. We have Judgment, stand user Cameo. So this is the one that grants wishes. We have a power in B, speed B, range C, durability B. This wasn't really fully displayed because, he kind of lost to Avdol. which was kind of surprising, I guess, because it's just raw stats and not like an actual ability. Like, we do give credit to Cameo. He probably kills Polnareff in this scenario, right? Dude, like, there were some messed up things, right? Polnareff was being eaten, and he kind of got up like nothing happened, which is, a lot of plot armor. We give Cameo C. You kill Polnareff, you lose to Abdol, and then you don't encounter the rest of the team. Okay, so next up we have Justice with a stand user, Enya the Hag. Stand stats, D in power, which is, I guess, because he's just smoke, right? E in speed, A in range, because it's a fucking whole town. A in durability, because you can't really get rid of it. It's kind of like Iggy, right? I think Iggy's durability is pretty up there. Remember, Iggy got hit with like the vanilla ice ball and it didn't do any damage. That was wild. That was some inconsistency there. But yeah, Enya the Hag. So this is very hard to like break down, just because I think some of the moments where Enya did had the situation to pierce the holes of the victims, I think those were somewhat convenient. But then again, Star Platinum inhaling Justice was hella convenient as well. So there were some plot armor going either side, right? So I think at least Enya kills two. Enya probably kills two, Polnareff and maybe Joseph or Kakyoin, right? Maybe not Joseph, or maybe not Jotaro, but yeah, Jotaro essentially could just knock out Enya, but then again, it's so hard because you have all these zombies and the zombies are already being controlled, right? It's really hard to gauge this one. This is probably one of the hardest ones to gauge, just because the scenario is just, there's too many variables to consider. Next up, we have Klum, aka the stand of Oingo. Bro, this stand sucks. Okay? It's one thing to change your appearance if you are an assassin as well, but you're comboing with Boingo, which kinda gives the power there. But actually, I think I should have just rated this as both Oingo and Boingo. With the user, it's probably with Boingo stand, it's probably B, right? You're gonna get some kills out of it. But yeah, but in this case, we're doing it separate, so it's a D. You're not beating anyone there. And then we have the Lovers stand user, Steely Dan. So stand stats, E in power, D in speed, A in range, A in durability, D in power, E in growth, or D in precision. Why do I keep doing those last two stats? So yeah, Steely Dan. This was very interesting because I think this is another stand that's limited by its user's potential. So the way you would have gone here is, Dio already knows at this point that Enya probably fell to Jotaro, right? So your target should be Jotaro. The Lovers enter Jotaro and now you're fucked, right? And they have to... So someone's gonna watch Steely Dan, just like what they did earlier. Probably Polnareff. And then you're gonna get Jotaro, or you're gonna get Joseph to do the Hermit Purple on the TV. Jotaro and Kakyoin send both their stands there. It's gonna be hard for Jotaro because he is controlling the stand as well as whatever damage is done to his brain. He's gonna be affected by that, and he may grow the stand inside him. It's complicated, right? It's gonna be complicated. But I think the thing there to note is the misplay Steely Dan made there is he didn't pursue them, right? You would have pursued them if that was me. If I knew that I infected Joseph and then they're running away to like get some TV, right? Of course, at this point, you probably know their abilities already, right? Dio already filled you in on what they do. I would have chased them just to like prevent them from doing whatever it is they were trying to do, right? And if Jotaro stops me, he would need to use force, and that's gonna deal damage to Joseph, and he's not gonna be able to concentrate on the stand, Hermit Purple. But either way, even if you do that, at most you trade a kill, right? At most you trade a kill, but at minimum you just die. Next up we have Osiris. Ooh, Dabi, not Bobby. Stand stats: E in power, D in speed, D in range, C in durability. There's a number of ways this could have played out, but I think if without like plot convenience and plot armor, it's a D, right? Fine, you take Polnareff's soul, but we can torture you, right? You're not the lovers. We can torture you. And we can torture you to the point that you feel defeated, and once you feel defeat, you release the soul, right? Or something like this. It's a show, right? You can't have too much brutality, even though, Araki is known for animal cruelty. That's like his MO, right? If they have to play the game, then yeah, he's S tier. He just beats everyone, right? But without like plot conveniences, we don't have time for this shit. Like, dude, release the soul or we're gonna kick your ass. Okay? It's that simple. Next up we have Seth. Stand user Alessi. Mr. Attaboy. Okay, so we have stand stats. D in power, D in speed, E in range, E in durability, and then D for the rest. This is a very interesting stand, especially what happened in those episodes, right? So encounters Polnareff, and Polnareff is immediately suspicious of him. He's able to get the shadow off, but just a tiny bit, and he's able to shrink Polnareff. And there's a lot of convenience here on the Crusader side, right? Polnareff gets shrunk. He doesn't have memories of Jotaro anymore. He still has Chariot, but it's kind of weak Chariot, right? And then later on in the episode, he gets hit by the shadow again. They even mentioned that he's like a toddler now, so that's around 3 years old. Being a 3-year-old, and then he was having this big brain plays about the mirror in the fish tank, stuff like that. Like, bro, you can't think like that. Like, it breaks the character, right? And how did you even have Chariot as early as, we do have Death 13, like the baby stand, but bro, it's kind of convenient that Polnareff had developed a stand as early as 3 years old. But that being said, Polnareff 100% dies there, right? He dies there, and Jotaro was already in the vicinity, right, of the building. So he sees Jotaro, he hits him with the stand from behind, which would, give him even less time to react. So it's gonna hit. Even if he got hit at the same amount as the episode itself, I don't think Kid Jotaro beats Alessi, right? I think that was purely plot convenience. They wanted Jotaro to look so strong. A kid could beat up Alessi. Dude, Alessi was fucking jacked, right? So in this scenario, he already kills who's this? Jotaro and Polnareff. They're already dead. He meets up with Joseph and Avdol, who just had a fight, right, against Mariah. Alessi attacks both, probably kills Joseph, and then he may lose to... Oh, no. He may shrink Avdol to the younger, but Joseph turns into part 2 Joseph, and now we have a real match. Let's say Alessi takes out Avdol. He does not take out young Joseph, because young Joseph be killing gods out here. Next up we have Strength, the ship. Oh my god. Stand user forever, that's the gorilla. Stand stats: B in power, D in speed, D in range, A in durability, and then E for the rest. So Strength is very unfortunate that Strength encountered Jotaro in the beginning, because he would have killed a lot, right? And even so, I think in the episode he was sinking everyone. They did look very helpless there, and he had a decent chance against Jotaro, everything considered, right? A lot of things went well for the Crusaders there as well. By the way, in this case, I think we put Seth would probably be about Horus level, right? About Horus level. Yeah, better than Horus. But Strength kinda kills the 4 except Jotaro, because that's who they're fighting against. He was trying to sink them, but I think Jotaro has the power to like break through. There isn't really that much thick material in the ship, while the rest would have trouble there. Maybe Avdol could like burn his way out or something like that. But they looked really helpless there. Like they didn't have much time. Like if you sunk them in the ship, wherein like their bodies are blocked, like they can't breathe, right? There's metal blocking their mouth. Like if you sunk them low enough, I think Avdol wasn't confident that he could burn the metal before he lost his breath, and he could be panicking there. We'll give it an A, if not a high B, right? If not a high B. Maybe Avdol survives that, but yeah, he kind of loses to Jotaro there, because Jotaro made the surprise play of Starfinger. But yeah, this could go A or B. I'm a bit leaning towards A at first, but now that I think of it, maybe Avdol survives that. Okay, so next up we have the Sun. The Sun is kind of interesting because, you know, get what's really going on. So depending on how long it takes for them to like figure it out. Like of course, if Joseph was only there, Joseph would have died, right? Fortunate for him, the whole party was with him, so he kinda gets to salvage himself there. It was kinda weird how the stand worked, because it was shooting fireballs. Like if you shoot at it, I wasn't sure if that's just like a reaction of the stand or that's really how it works. But yeah, just having like intense heat indefinitely just makes it feel like, you know, there's nothing gonna happen here, right? We're eventually gonna die. That being said, it wasn't really able to take on anyone, and there wasn't really much plot convenience there. But I will give it a C, just because I think it's a lot more threatening than the other stands here, right? It's a lot more threatening, and give it props because he did encounter the 4 Crusaders, right? Judgment that only fought 2 and lost. This guy fought the 4 and almost won, right? So we'll give props and give it a C. Next up, we have tenor sax, right? Oops. We have tenor sax. This is stand user Kenny G. He actually died. This is the one that was hiding in the pillar and then Iggy just attacked him because he sniffed him out. So he doesn't really do anything there. Next up, we have Zawald. Dio! So the world, stand stats, A in power, A in speed, C in range, A in development, B in precision, B in growth. So I think it's B in growth because it already developed time stop at that point. So it's already grown. This is clearly an S, right? This is clearly an S. Without plot convenience, you see Polnareff there, you don't do the shenanigans of bringing him down. You chop his head off, right? You chop his head off. And then you donut Kakyoin, right? So yeah, nothing much to say there, okay? And now we have Thought, aka Boingo. Now, this is what I'm having difficulty with because every time they do the Boingo shit, it works. Okay, so in the last part they messed up with Whole Horse, but that was because their time was advanced. They didn't shoot the what do you call this? The tube when it was 12 noon. They shoot it a few minutes earlier, so it didn't work. But I think the question there is, do you need to fulfill the requirements shown there, or it's naturally gonna fulfill? What I mean by that is, in that episode, the Crusaders got hit by a car, right? And that was, it required the Whole Horse to stick his fingers up Polnareff's nose. Now the question there is, was that guaranteed? Or was there a chance that if he attempted to stick his fingers there, could he have been blocked? Or was it destiny that no matter what happens, you're always gonna be able to put your fingers up there? That's the question. So if it's a guarantee, then Boingo obviously becomes S tier. Thought becomes S tier if it's guaranteed. If not, I think it's still S, because, well, it really depends on what it shows, right? How difficult the requirement is for you to get there. But generally speaking, the ones we've seen wasn't really that difficult. It's just a matter of you have no idea how things are gonna play out. You see all these weird scenarios and you're like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do after I do the requirement. You know, if I should like stall for time before the magic happens or what. But from what it looks like, it is part of destiny. It's really just gonna happen. You just need to follow the script. So we're down to the last three. So we have Tower of Grey here. This is like the first stand they encountered after like forming with Kakyoin, the formal Crusaders. So Tower of Grey, power is an E, which is very surprising. He was able to pierce Star Platinum's hand with an E. That's like Hermit Purple. Imagine Hermit Purple breaking through Star Platinum's hand. It's crazy. A in speed, A in range, C in durability. So I think this was a joke fight. Okay, I get that there is an A in speed, but when you attack, they could have just aura'd that shit, right? I think the fight was a lot more complicated than it seemed. The attacks of Tower of Grey were kinda generic, right? Had he attacked Joseph first, then we would be having a different conversation here. So I think we do have to give some credit and put in on C, even though that's the case. The stats doesn't really make sense there because E shouldn't be able to like one-shot people, right? Next up we have Wheel of Fortune. Holy shit. This stand is so underrated. It is so underrated. Stand user ZZ, power B, speed D, which is kind of surprising because it's a car. A car shouldn't be a D. It could be a C at the least and B at the most. Range D, so you kind of have to be in the car, I guess. A in durability, so it's pretty durable. Now, the thing about this stand is fine detail shit. Okay, so the fine detail is it attached Star Platinum, right? And Jotaro clearly said, I didn't see it. This is a stand that can see, atoms, right? Lover shrink itself to like a size of an atom. And it was able to detect that. But the bullets from Wheel of Fortune, he wasn't able to detect. He couldn't see them coming. And they did say at first that it was shallow hits. But look, its power is a B. How the hell is that shallow? And when I think one of the characters turned around, was it either Jotaro or Polnareff, there was like a wound at its back, implying that the attack pierced its body, went outside the back. I think it like solos the team, with another exception being Avdol, just because he could just burn the car, right? So Avdol is kind of surprisingly doing work here, right? So yeah, I think Jotaro dies. I think Kakyoin dies. They're not fast enough to like dodge these bullets. Joseph dies, Polnareff dies, and probably Avdol is the only one that can survive. But that's just my take. So where would we put this? I mean, Avdol is not even guaranteed to survive. That's the thing. We could put it in... Yeah, we'll put it in the top of A. Alright. And the last stand user, we have Yellow Temperance. Stand user Rubber Soul. It has D in power, C in speed, E in range, A in durability, and ED for the rest. So, this was a bit plot convenience, right? That there happened to be an ocean there. Had the ocean not been there, Jotaro would have been injured before he could find a way to like lure Rubber Soul there. And let's say he takes out Jotaro, right? You have the other Crusaders. Emerald Splash is not doing anything. If anything, Avdol again. It's Avdol again. Avdol burns him. It gets aggressive, right, when it's burned. So it may damage the user because the user is like covered in it. So yeah, Joseph cannot beat it unless it has some interaction with Hamon. But then again, what would happen in that case if he's covered in Hermit Purple? Hermit Purple gets covered with the Yellow Temperance. And then does that mean like Joseph starts taking damage for that? Because I think that's what happened, right? Jotaro punched it with Star Platinum and he got it on his hand or something. So Joseph would have the same... It would be the same boat for Joseph. So I think he loses to Avdol but beats the rest. But this is a bit more speculation. So let's say it's definitely an A tier, but let's say, is it better than Alessi? I don't know. Yeah, we'll just put it there. That is gonna be our Part 3 JoJo Stand tier list. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was pretty fun to do, thinking about scenarios on how things would play out. Leave some in the comments if you think, if you thought of certain situations or if I was mistaken about certain stuff. I'm happy to read everything and just like refresh my memory. I could very well be wrong in some of these rankings, but just based on how they encountered the certain protagonists we have and how things would have played out, this looks very close to how I think it would play out. So yeah, if you guys like the content, like, comment, subscribe if you want to support your boy even more. Links to Patreon down in the description. I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers!